Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. All right, welcome to a brand new live episode of Bid Nerds. How you guys doing out there in the nerd herd? You like how we're doing this whole live thing, and I'm like making the thumbnail while the whole opening of the show is going on. I got to get a better system here. How you guys doing? There is Wade Bennet from Tech Daily sitting a little low in the camera, a little low. You're kind of like chilling.
I feel like I'm a mile away right now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's okay.
Maybe we can get the camera closer to you or something like that. I don't know what's going on. Look at this. Technical stuff. It's a live show, right?
This is what happens.
Stop touching it.
You touched it all. You took cameras away. You messed it all up, and now we're all crooked.
You hear my partner.
Yeah.
And then there's Deeb, even lower in the camera. It's like, okay, we've got like definitely a hierarchy thing happening here. All right. Michael Deeb in San Francisco, looks like you're getting your studio kind of, it's coming along.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Indeed. Yeah, slowly but surely. I got one shelf behind me. I got another shelf in front of me that you can't see, but I have so many bins of crap and, JP, you know how it is. You're a car guy, so everybody gives you car stuff. So, posters and books and models and stickers and, there's just, so now I have an office and I'm trying to cram it all in here. We're getting there. I'm looking at.
It's a work in progress, right?
Yeah. I've got the Der Fascination, the Professor poster framed in front of me. I wish there was room for it behind me so you could see it. But anyway, that's probably the coolest thing in my office. And you remember that Israel did those. Remember how cool they all turned out?
Yeah. I do.
Anyways,
all right. And
they were amazing.
I'm only trying to do something here. I'm only trying to do the show, whatever. Oh man, that is the best punchline for a Holocaust joke of all time.
Oh man, we're starting already.
Oh, what?
Before the show started, JP said, "Hey, what do you guys think about this joke?" And Wade and I said, "No."
Yeah, he was primed and ready before.
That was a
got
Ricky
started.
Gervais joke. Now I didn't come up with it. That's Ricky Gervais. Greatest joke of all time, actually. Mental, can we get Deeb's image to go up a little bit or something, or maybe mine down? I don't know. Anyways, welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Price is Right for enthusiast cars. We select cars all over Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, Mercedes Marketplace or Market or whatever the heck that one's called.
The MB Market.
The MB Market. Oh, is that how they get away with using the Mercedes
MB
Benz?
could be everything.
MB is
Yeah.
anything. Okay, it all becomes
Smart,
amazingly clear. But before we get started, Michael Deeb, why don't you tell everyone about God and Porsche and God and Classic?
Yes. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas was the very first Porsche Classic partner in North America way back in 2016. And as such, Porsche of Germany, not Porsche Cars North America, vetted them to make sure that they had the capital, the space, the people, the passion, the parts department, the service department, and in fact, even a sales department. So if you're looking for a classic part, a part for your classic Porsche, know that Godden Porsche is one of about a dozen Porsche Classic partners that get you parts directly from the Originale catalog. Porsche continues to make parts for every car they've ever produced. They produce over 65,000 parts from over 7,000 different vendors for platforms all the way up to the E1 Cayenne and the 997 platform 911. Call Godden Porsche if you're looking for parts, if you're looking for service, or if you want to buy or sell a classic car, ask for Steve Thiel and let them know that the Bid Nerd sent you.
Awesome. Nice work. We have some great sponsors for this show. We're going to mention our good friends up in Idaho at Our Smiths. You can check your watch to see what time it is when you're trying to figure out if the Bid Nerds are late to start. And we always are. But today we did say we were going to start at 7 o'clock for the people who know. So hopefully there weren't too many people waiting around for us at 6:30. Our Smiths is the place to go if you have a fine Swiss watch and you need service, or you want to add a fine Swiss watch to your collection, he always has amazing watches in stock. He has a Sea Dweller that I so want. Oh my God, I want that watch. But, we need to get some more people watching the nerds, and we got to get some, we got to just really bring that YouTube revenue in. Then maybe one day I'll be able to buy a Link on a Sea Dweller. No, but Hoursmiths is really awesome up there in Idaho. So check them out, hoursmiths.com. All right.
With the money,
Deeb's like, what? I gotta get it. I can't just wait till later. I have to get it in right now. What's up, Michael Deeb? Go ahead.
It's a joke based on the thing that you were talking about. With the money we make from Bid Nerds right now, you couldn't even afford to service a Sea Dweller.
That is the truth. Even though we're good friends with Anthony up at Hoursmiths, and he would totally hook us up, I still can't afford it.
That was including that discount.
Exactly.
You couldn't afford to service a G-Shock right now.
It's true. It's true. One that we got from smoking a bunch of Marlboros, and you get the little things, and you can turn them in, then you get a free G-Shock. That's the G-Shock. I still haven't got my Swatch fixed for my stupid Omega Swatch thing. I think it's just going to be it's keeping the table. It's a write-off. Sure, $200 is a write-off.
So speaking of the nerd herd, though, we got everybody in.
Everyone's here. Oh, good. Okay, so I've got something to say to the nerd herd. One, we love you guys, and I think you know that. We keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. But speaking of sponsors, Guys Customs bracelets. We talk about them all the time. We're all wearing bracelets, or most of us are. I don't know if Wade's got one yet. We got to get him one.
I need one to match my new car, actually.
It's true. Your Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
All right. Good job, Mental. You've got yours on. I think Deeb's wearing his, right? Here's the thing. Rochelle, the artist, is standing by right now. She's going to do a sale tonight for Bid Nerds. Everything, all Guys Custom bracelets are 30% off to Bid Nerds customers if you say Bid Nerds. She set up an Etsy page just for you guys, right? Because everyone's complaining, you got to go to Instagram and DM her, and it's not, Look, she has a ton of inventory available on her Etsy page. It's guyscustoms.etsy.com. That's GYXcustoms.etsy.com. Guys, G-Y-X. Guys is spelled G-Y-X. G-Y-X customs.etsy.com. If you go to the Etsy page right now, you'll see a bunch of inventory. She's actually got stuff for ladies too. So if you're looking to buy something for your wife for Christmas, anything on that page, if it's not a custom job, or like if it's not a new custom, like a paint to sample for like your car, anything that's in stock, she can get to you for Christmas. So go over there. You're going to get 30% off. Everyone who orders tonight gets a Rami Show hat. And here's the big thing. Hooker, guys, we love you guys. Go on to the chat and say that you're going to order a bracelet. If you commit to ordering a bracelet, if we get 10 people to order a bracelet, Rochelle's going to make Bid Nerd hats for everyone who orders tonight. But we got to get 10 orders. So if we can get 10 orders, she will make 10 limited edition Bid Nerd hats for the people that order, right? She's ready to go.
So limited.
It's like a telethon over here.
GYX Customs plural or GYX Custom.etsy?
Customs is plural.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll pull it up on the website here. But thanks for bearing with us on that stuff, guys. But seriously, great Christmas gifts, great stuff for yourself, and you can get it before Christmas. And we will make a hat for the Bid Nerds if we can get 10 people to make an order. How awesome is that, Michael Deeb? You're snickering over there.
That's pretty awesome. Well, I didn't realize I was going to be on a telethon tonight, but this is cool. I'm excited. I'm very excited. And it could, a week before Christmas. The other thing is, I think she promises that she get those delivered to you. Maybe not.
I don't know if the Bid Nerds hats will get there before Christmas, but
the Guys Custom. The Bid Nerds is for you for ordering, but the gift that you're buying for yourself or a friend or your wife will get there by Christmas. So that's good stuff. I like it.
All right, so what this show is, we do the Price is Right thing, so let's get to our poor predictions from the last show. We always start by reconciling just how bad we are with with our... hey, Mental, can you close the door? We've got the...
I know, the party's going on outside.
Your headphones are on? As he walks away from the desk. If the show ends, you'll know why.
Clothesline. Somebody call a medic.
It's a longer cable than I thought was on that thing. Good job, man. All right. All right, let's get to the first car that we made a prediction. We've got everyone in the nerd herd here ready to roll. Let's do it.
That's usually your cue,
Yeah.
Deeb.
Hang on 1 second. I'm just finishing my order for guys custom.
Oh, very nice.
there we go.
All right.
Well,
He wants that 30% off, right?
Yeah.
Cheers.
All
Good
right,
job.
Okay, here we go. So the first car from last week was this super cool. Well, we actually, by the time we reviewed this car, we had waned on the super cool, but it's a safari style, rest of the world, 1985 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe. 85, of course, is the 3.2 liter Carrera. The ROW is going to have a slightly higher compression ratio, the higher compression ratio motor. These motors typically make 231 horsepower, where our 3.2s make just under 210 in California and just under 220 in the other lower 40, what would be left, 7. This car seemed like a project started, but by the time we all got done with it, it left a lot to be desired as far as still had kind of standard seats. There was no roll bar. The interior was rather vanilla. They did some RS door cards and a Momo, but then all they did was really jack it up. It doesn't have fancy or special wheels. I don't know. We were all like, really? We know that some of these fancier builds by brand name builders can bring big money, but this just seemed like a garagiste version of the car. With that in mind, all of our bids were under 100 grand. I started the bidding at $90,000. JP came in at $86,911. How cute. Wade at $91,911, and Mental, the high bidder, at $94,911. Mental, do we have the gallery of bids? Did that get posted as we're talking about this car?
We're waiting on our nerd herd.
That's right.
Scorekeeper.
Randy's
to
usually
post
keeping
it. Yeah.
store, right?
Rambling North
that's
that copied and pasted. I'm sure it'll be there in mere seconds.
Yeah. Randy's putting out the cigarette right now. He's like, hold on a second. But anyway,
he's also finishing his guy's customs order.
Very nice.
He is indeed. Thank you, Randy. We appreciate that. Most of the bids were in the same range as us. I don't remember anybody jumping way out there. Our car sold for $140,000 on 43 bids. I would say that is more than all the money. In fact, to me, John, that number doesn't make sense. We used to joke when nobody was watching this. Sounds like they're laundering money because this doesn't. That number for the car I'm looking at, good God, I could just jack my car up and get $160,000 for my car because my car is arguably rarer than this. I just, none of this makes any sense to me at all, JP. It's a 915 gearbox. It's a standard interior. The car's got dents and dings. I thought this could be, at your number to Mental's number in that $85,000 to $95,000 range. This is a car you could pick up and then put a few more bucks into it and make it the special car it deserves to be. Somebody paid special car pricing for a car that I don't think is that special. John, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, look, everyone keeps talking about the end is nigh. Everyone's talking about how the used car, oh my God, used cars, everybody's jumping ship, and the sky is falling, everybody's freaking out. But BAT, over and over and over and over again, every car that I've been watching all week, and I've been watching some very closely, everything's still selling crazy high. There is a bunch of money in the system when it comes to people looking to buy enthusiast cars. Maybe people are looking to hedge their bet. I don't know what the hell's going on. Yes, Ford F-150s and Mach-E's and any kind of normie car, Hyundai, whatever, those cars are, any used cars, just regular used cars are absolutely dumping in price. But enthusiast cars, this car right here, this is a neat car, but it is not a $140,000 car. Even when things were crazy 6 months ago, a year ago, I don't think this car should have brought 140. I think there's just some people out there just going, okay, I still got to get it on this, and they didn't get the memo. I don't know. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I agree. I think the theme of this show is we were wrong in the under direction, and car prices on a lot of these enthusiast cars are still really, really high. And like you said, people all over are clamoring high interest rates. They're clamoring the car market is falling. They're clamoring the winter months are here. But yet week after week, I feel like more often than not, these cars go for like 20 or 30% more than we ever imagined. And this is a prime example. I agree. I don't really think this is that special of a Safari build, especially when we know certain Safari cars command $250,000 price tag. And peak COVID, peak crazy season, a lot of those Safari builds were, and we thought this was $100,000 car at best. And somebody said, I'll raise you another 40 grand and then some. So kind of weird. Maybe we missed something, but I don't think so. And maybe this is the right winter car for somebody, I guess. Maybe somebody looks at all those $250,000 Safari builds and is like, wow, I got one that almost half off, but this really isn't that special. And it kind of reminds me of the fad of the lifted trucks that are in right now and all the Mecum and Barrett Jackson auctions where people have the K5 Blazers and the Broncos and stuff, and they lift them, they put on big tires, and they're $100,000 trucks now. And I'm like, why? I don't know, but people seem to be interested, I guess.
Mental, I know you wanted to get in on one of these thinking that maybe they were going to finally be cheap enough. What do you think of this result?
Jesus.
Yeah, right?
And if you look at the scores of the herd, no one in the herd guessed over 100 grand. So this didn't just throw the four idiots in the room off. It threw some serious experts off. I kick it back though. Do you think at 140, knowing that this was a driver quality car that went for collector car money, do you think the new owner is going to actually drive it? Are we going to see this car again here in a couple of years?
I mean, it's definitely I don't see somebody buying this as a collector thing. Do you? Does anybody think this is a collector car?
No, but that's collector money.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. I think it's just basically it's hard to build one of these. That's one thing. One thing we know for certain is that the cost of building anything cool is crazy. So if you have something that is built, maybe a backdate or something like a Safari or whatever, and you want one and you want to build one, it's going to cost you more than $140,000 even to build one that's not the best one there is. Like if you just started with this 911 stock and wanted to build it into this car, you'd easily be in $1.50. So I guess maybe people are going, if I want something weird, I don't want to build it and I don't want to wait for all the stuff. What do you guys think?
I don't know if this is that expensive of a build, to be honest. Like what more did they add to this car to make it so pricey? I mean, maybe parts and labor, but I mean, you're telling me that this is a $150,000 build at least? I don't know.
Well, start with a $80,000 car, and then so you've got let's work it out. All right, you got the hood. You've got the what's that?
I can give it to you. It's 20 grand in suspension and another $10,000 in cosmetics. Period.
No way, way more than that. Way more than that. That rear bumper alone. That rear bumper. Look at the rear bumper, Deeb. That has the slider across the back. That has the bumperettes removed, and it's all paint matched. If you had a regular bumper and you remove the bumperettes, just that is thousands of dollars because you got to fill in all the holes to paint it, and then you got to drill the thing, and then you got to put that the metal thing on there. I mean, where are you going to get that? That's probably 10 grand just for the stupid bumper. No. And the slider. Show me where you get that stuff, Deeb.
What's the slider
seriously?
You're talking about?
The bar that goes across the back of the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you get that for less than just a metal bar? To fabricate something like that's going to cost you a couple $1,000s. The actual Porsche bumper itself. So yeah, look at that. Thanks, Mental. You've got that rear bumper. To pull the bumperettes off of a regular G body bumper and paint it is going to be thousands of dollars.
No, $1,000 at the body shop to pull those off and fill the holes,
and then repaint it.
John.
What I know, it's not one piece. When you pull those bumperettes off, there's like 15 fucking holes on the back of that thing, and they all got to be filled in. And then you're gonna get that done for.
Down, they fill them in.
Have you been to a body shop? Nobody's painting a bumper.
I hate to say this on the air. I just repainted my bumper on the chiffon car before I sent it off to whatchamacallit, off to Tony Mazzagati's before Rennsport.
Yeah,
actually, I had the bumper redone on the 993 for $2,000 by the same guy. That
$2,000. No, that's exactly my point. It's a couple of grand to paint a bumper, to fill in the holes and everything like that. And then you've got to get someone to drill the holes for the bar. How much is that bar? Somebody can maybe look it up. And then you got to mount that thing. Find someone to do that for. I'm full of shit when I say that it's a $10,000 rear bumper, but that's at least like $5,000 to do the rear bumper. So not to mention the front bumper and the skid plate and whatever other junk that's been done underneath.
So considering all those parts and pieces, you seem to be on the side that this actually maybe is worth the dollar and then some. I mean, if you wanted to build,
if you want one of these and you want to build it, you're not building this for $20,000. No freaking way. Because this is not to this is $20,000. The suspension alone is $20,000, not to mention the bumpers and the skid plates and the lights, and then repainting stuff and the rocker panels and the kickboards and the mud flaps and all that stuff adds up. And it's not so much that the stuff itself is terribly expensive individually, is you got to pay somebody to put it on. Yeah. Where do you get somebody to do this?
I mean, nowadays I feel like more people are doing it though. If this were 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, nobody would have heard. 5 or 6 years ago, nobody would have heard. But now, I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there who sell kits and parts and things. I mean, you can go through a whole shopping list like building a PC and say, I want these 12 things for my Safari build, and hopefully somebody nearby can put it together. But yeah, I would imagine it's easier nowadays too.
If it doesn't say Porsche on it, like if it were an F-250, like just some regular Joe Schmo car or 4x4 truck, and you can find a fabricator out in small town or whatever, they'll do it cheap. But as soon as they know it's for a Porsche, they start charging you through the nose. I'm not saying it's worth it. I'm saying that if you want a Safari, it's way more expensive than you think. It's a rabbit hole. But let's move on from this car. What do you guys think of the results of this crazy Safari rig? Was this well bought? Do you agree with me that there's a major Porsche tax, and trying to get anybody to work on stuff is way more expensive than people think? Or do you think it's not that big a deal and you can just go down to the cheap part of town and find someone to do some paint work on your Porsche? Let me know how that works out for you. I just wanted to, Kevin Bodman says he agrees with me. Sorry, Kevin, that's a bad thing to do. Never agree with me, but Kevin's right. All right, let's move on. What else did we make a poor prediction on the last show?
JP, you selected for us a 1970 Fiat 850 Sports Spider on Bring a Trailer. Really neat little car, very clean and very well preserved. Out of West Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Our car is showing 52,000 miles, true mileage unknown. It's a 903cc inline single cam 4-cylinder rear engine with a 4-speed manual and ochre yellow paint. This car, JP, with the panel gaps and everything, looks to be in exceptional condition for a Fiat in the United States from that era. Most of the cars from this era were left outside, and that untreated Russian steel begins to rot on most cars. This car has either been restored or really well kept. While it's not a great performer, it is a fun car to drive and looks honestly exceptional in this condition. With that in mind, we wondered at this time of the year out of Pennsylvania, would the car suffer from a poor winter auction placement rather than being sold in the spring or summer, where a car like this would be way more desirable and a lot less to ship, depending on where the car is going to wind up going. Reed, California, or someplace on the West Coast. With that in mind, no surprise to anyone that I wound up being the high bidder. I like this car. So I said $15,000, and I think that this car would bring a lot more money in the spring. JP, you picked the car, but we're a bit more bearish on it, saying $12,850. Wade came in just underneath me at $14,500, and Mental was the most bearish of them all, suggesting that this car wouldn't even break $10,000, and gave us a bid of $9,500. Now, the question I have for you, JP, looks like Anthony came in over me at $15,500. Thank you, Anthony, for that. And Hyro looks like was the low man at $8,000 coming in under Mental. Without further ado, our car sold for $16,500 on 14 bids. Me and Anthony are going to share the prize on that one. John, I still think at 16.5, this car will bring another, almost 40 or 50% in the spring. Maybe the 850s aren't desirable, but if you have the nicest example of any particular model, one that looks like it may have just rolled off the showroom like this one does, people will pay good money for that car. You got to also realize that this was like a $1,200 car when it came out. You know what I mean? So $16,500. It doesn't sound like collector money, but it's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think that how inexpensive this car would have been in period. So JP, I send it back to you. What do you think of that result?
I was watching the auction because, as you guys know, that I had one of these as my first car, and so I had this definitely nostalgia for me, and I was genuinely considering maybe buying it if it were cheap enough. And, the problem was it was on the East Coast. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be at least a couple $1,000s just to get it here. And I was thinking it wasn't even going to really break 10 grand. Or I was hoping if I was going to be in on it. And it was sitting at like $8,700 up until about a half hour before it closed. And then there was another bid for like $9 or something like that. And I was like, you know what, never mind. And so I turned it off, and I went and did some stuff. And then, I almost dropped my phone in the toilet when I saw the results. I was like, oh, what the hell? It's like, what? 16,000? What? What do you think of the result, Wade?
Having heard your stories of the car and everyone else's opinion of the car last show, I don't know a lot about this, but I know more than I did, a couple of weeks ago. And while this is a really nice example of a really awful car, I think you have to have some sort of either sentimental attachment to it, like UJP, or maybe some Fiat collector, older car collector out there really wanted just the nice example of this particular car. If that's the case, then maybe this is it. Other than that, this is a ton of money, especially when I think you said on last show you bought for $900 and then it may or may not have disintegrated underneath you and turned into a Coke can by the time you were done with it. So this
30 years ago.
Yeah, this is a car that obviously is well preserved, but other than it being quirky and mildly interesting, and
let's talk about short-nosed 911s 30 years ago.
Yeah,
but hold on. That's the thing. It's the nostalgia play makes sense for a car like this, but to how many people actually know what this is? For that money, 16 grand gets you like the nicest Alpha Spider there is, and that's a way cooler car. Deeb, you've still got your dad's boat tail Alpha, and those are worth more than 16 grand. That's the experience you wish this car was when you got it. When I bought this car, that's what I wanted it to be, and of course it wasn't. And I don't know why that. You could easily get a really nice Spider. What do you think, Mental? I know you think it's not quite as cool as an MR2.
Actually, everything is way cooler than MR2. This actually makes me happy. Now, and I'm going to go with this one, is yes, it's 16 grand, but we're all looking at it from our values of how would it do on a racetrack, or what's its actual collectability, or what does it mean as a performance canyon carver. But for less than 20 grand, someone quasi-normal, maybe some empty nester, got into an interesting and odd collector car that it's going to need a lot of attention, but at the same time it doesn't, because there's just not that many moving components. So this is an opportunity for someone who's got a cool car that they can take to Cars and Coffee, and you're not going to see another one. And then when the weather's nice, that person and their significant other hop in it and run down to Brahms or to the Sonic and get himself an ice cream sundae, and they're going to get $16,000 worth of joy out of this car when it's running. You can't subtract.
No, they're not, because it's not going to make it to any of those places.
Oh my!
But I know we get it. We all know
it's how it goes over.
We all know, but
you can't.
Yeah, we all. But you run around this thing in the city. This is a great chance for someone to get into the collector car hobby, warts and all. And I think they got in for fairly cheap. And I think the owner sold a really good car at a good price.
Yeah. It's a good thing there are cell phones these days, because if you let your significant other drive this car,
you'll never see him again. Wait, just to put the performance into perspective, you could not drive this car in the fast lane on the freeway anywhere in Las Vegas. You
Yeah,
would
that's
get
fair.
killed.
Yeah.
That's
You
fair.
would literally get killed. That's how slow it is. It would not get up to speed.
I would
and it
way
would not
rather
make-
be in like a fake 356, like a fiberglass
Yeah.
tube frame Volkswagen platform piece of crap.
Yeah.
Than
That's how
the
slow it
stupid
is.
thing. Yeah, these
But
things are.
I also think it was really well bought at 16 grand.
Wow. All right. Well, okay. We'll move on off of this pretty quick, but Mental keeps bringing it up. Do we think this car is coming back? Is this a winter buy? Will we see this for sale on the auctions again this spring or summer? Let us know in the comments below what you
question.
think of the results.
Good question.
And let's move on to our next poor prediction that we made last week. God, we are awful at this. Let me tell you.
JP, hey, my bid was good, man. I'm proud of my bid. I won that one. All right. JP picked for us this 2023 Rivian R1S Adventure Edition with essentially delivery miles. Let me pull it up here and see. It has 60 miles on it out of Santa Ana, California. JP wanted to bring this car up to open up a dialogue now that Cybertrucks are out there, and supply is starting to catch up with demand for some of these bigger, more expensive luxury electric cars like the Rivian, like the Lucid, like the Teslas. Are we seeing now the potential end of the buying to flip, the speculator market on these cars? People who put in orders just to turn a profit because the dealers are selling these cars at sticker. So it was really interesting. This particular person, JP, you may remember, put a business card or what turned out to be like a key, I think, over the window sticker where the price and the options were priced out, so as not to convey what the actual sticker price of his Rivian was, which seems kind of ridiculous because then he went ahead and put it on Cars and Bids where every used Rivian goes to be sold. So all you have to do is look at what's on the car and match it up with Cars and Bids bid history, and you'd get a pretty good idea, which was effectively disclosed by the commenters in the comments on this particular car. We surmised that this car was sold in the mid $80,000 range, and then we all went on and hung ourselves and said none of us thought he would get into that range and get sticker price for his car. I said $78,800, effectively I think saying that this car wouldn't get any more bids. I think that's kind of where we're at. No, that can't be right because JP, you came in at 69.
That was
yeah,
me
you
that
came
said
in
it
at
wouldn't
69.
get more bids. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 78.8 was the base price for the car, which was absolutely disclosed in the comments. So I went with the base price, suggesting that he wouldn't get sticker for the car. That was the stance I took. John, you said you wouldn't get any more bids at 69. Wade took the over, covered me by $200 at $79,000. Smart move, Wade. Mental came in just underneath me at $77,000. Our car sold for $86,000 on 21 bids. Now, if this guy paid 83, if this guy paid 85, he paid tax and registration. That's 10%, which means he's in this car $95,000 to $100,000. So at 86 grand, ladies and gentlemen, he lost money. I'm going to say something so silly, I'm already laughing at my own joke. At 60 miles, he hasn't even put a tank of gas in it, but it's an electric car. I realize that joke doesn't work. But he didn't drive the car, and he's losing his 10%. What's the motivation here? You know, I mean, like, I just don't. What's going on in the Wade? You're in tech. What the hell is this? Help me decipher this result. Who goes out and speculates and then is willing to lose $12,000 to $15,000 thinking you might make money on the car? I don't get it.
Somebody who was late to the game. Look, we don't know for sure why he sold it, but the fact that he put the key over the price is kind of slimy and leads all of us to believe that he didn't want people to know how much it was worth so that hopefully somebody would overpay. But the thing is, and I gave Zach Miller from Cars and Bids a hard time on the last show, and I said, Cars and Bids is like the unofficial Rivian dealer. You can go on Cars and Bids at any point in time over the course of a week and see 2 or 3 or 4 Rivians for sale. There's 120 or 130 former Rivian sales between the pickup truck and the SUV. So the market on these is set, and it surprisingly is still about MSRP plus or minus a couple thousand on either end, depending on the edition of this car or of this truck. But you know, it's been a long time since these were selling for like $110,000, $120,000, $130,000. That ship has sailed, and maybe this person just happened to be the last person in line to get this version of the truck, and it showed up late, and he was like, oh, I still tied up 80 or 90 grand. I got to sell it no matter what. If I make money, whatever, but I got to get out of it. Maybe that was the case. Maybe he didn't really like it, but the key over the price thing leads me to believe that he was trying to get as much money as possible out of it and banking on maybe somebody not paying attention or not knowing. And like you said, at the end of the day, yeah, he got out of it. He sold it, at 80 whatever thousand it was. But between the tax, between the registration, between waiting, between having all of that money tied up, maybe he had a loan on it. I don't know, but he definitely lost money in the end.
Well, Bob Coons brings up a good point. He did get the $7,500 tax rebate. So maybe, he's only in it, for 80 grand or whatever. So that may have saved his butt because that tax credit goes away in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah,
it does.
But even still, I mean, that cancels out with tax and everything else, and the fact that he waited. And there were probably better things he could have done with the money, assuming he bought it outright, or if he had a loan on it, even for a month or two. I mean, I don't know how it works with the pre-ordering the Rivian specifically, but I would imagine he really didn't come out that far ahead. Maybe not as much as he was hoping.
I don't think it didn't come out the way he wanted it to. He probably ordered this thing back when things were nuts, and he finally got it, and he had to make the decision, okay, and he didn't want it, so he's probably just trying to get out from underneath it. And like a lot of people that made investments on stuff at that point, at this point they're just hoping to come out even. He did okay. Could have been a lot worse. What are you hopping in deep?
John, I got a question for you. Do you know if, or maybe Wade can answer this, do they lease these cars or do they only sell them?
I'm not sure.
There is it says
go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
No, I don't know.
In the notes it says that the sale, he wants the proceeds to satisfy a loan, but it doesn't say what type of loan it is. And I was just curious because if he leased it, he wouldn't have had to pay all the tax. He would just pay the tax on the payments that he made. So it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, but you'd have to do a buyout up front, and that's always more expensive. The only time that makes sense is if that does make sense sometimes if you're trying to, if you want to write off that particular year. Do these things don't have that tractor truck write-off thing, do they? Like the big heavy H2s used to, or whatever? No.
A lot of trucks, even the G-Wagons and stuff, still have the tax write-off. I don't know if the Rivian might be heavy enough.
And they're freaking heavy, right?
Yeah. Volkswagen Touaregs used to have it. Remember that?
Back in the day, the Touaregs and all the big SUVs used to be able to get that, and I think some of them still do. But I don't think
when I worked with Volkswagen Audi, John, in December, we would sell Touaregs like they were going out of style, 25 grand.
That's why there were so many Hubbers on the road back in 2003. I mean, it's because everyone was getting that. Because back then it was a big deduction. Gerd's hanging out in the chat. Nice to hang out with us, Gerd.
Zach joined us.
I saw that Zach's in there too. Gerd mentions that it is possible that he didn't. That's only if he qualified. You don't automatically get $7,500 back. It's a $7,500 if you qualify. So it kind of depends on how much money you made and all that kind of stuff.
I think one of the qualifications should be you have to keep the car for some time. Some time window, right? Like if you just buy it and then flip it within 30 days, you shouldn't get jack shit. I mean, come on.
Hey, Zach. Yeah. Hey, Zach, do you know if Rivian will lease these cars to people? Are some people leasing these, or are they only financing them? And send us answer that in the comments if you could.
Tom Amenta says it's a 6,000 pound thing, and I don't know how heavy a Rivian is. I gotta think it's close to that.
This is a beast.
Yeah.
I do want to say something along the lines of that nonsense tax credit had some sort of agricultural component to it as well, and I don't know if they qualified.
Well, yeah, it was originally supposed to be, but that was the loophole, and I don't know if at some point they closed that loophole.
Do you just have to park it in your front yard to get that, or
you have to? I don't know. Yeah, whatever. You have to put a plow on the back or something like that, and all right, grow some kale or something like that in your San Francisco plot. All right, was that all the predictions we made for?
That's it.
For
That's enough.
Did Zach hop in there?
Go to questions. Go to
questions.
Go to commercials.
Go to commercials. Zach Miller will be in New Orleans on February 4th. Look at that. If you guys are stalking Zach Miller, he's going to be in New Orleans. I guess he's hanging out with Chris. What the heck is going down? How come we weren't invited? What the heck?
And Chris is having a watch party. Chris is having a watch party at the shop, waiting for a certain black and gold back date to arrive. How do you like that?
Something that, something. Okay, let's go to commercial. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds. Get those! Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, welcome back to the show. We've got a big deal going on with Guys Custom Bracelets, GYX Customs.etsy.com. Mental's got the customs bracelet, or the Guys Customs Etsy page up right now. You can see there's a bunch of different categories. There's the bracelets. There's bracelets for women too. She has a bunch of new stuff for women. So if you're looking for a gift for your significant other, make sure you go check all that stuff out. There's really cool necklaces, and it's all, like, every one is original. There's no two are alike. Everything that's on the Etsy page right now is in stock. And if you order it tonight, I think by Monday, you can get it to you by Christmas. And she is offering Bid Nerds discount for 30% off. That's 30% off totally tonight. Rad. And if we get 10 of you guys to order something tonight, we're gonna make sure that everyone who orders gets a Bid Nerds hat. These are limited edition one-off hats. These are snapback hats. So let's get 10 people to order, and we will get you guys hats as well. Bid Nerds hats. Nobody has Bid Nerds hats.
I don't have a hat.
We don't have them for sale.
Never seen that before in my life.
We're going to make them eventually. We're going to, in the new year, we're going to launch a hat club, just so you guys know. So that's coming. So there will be some cool merch available soon. But right now, the only way to get a Bid Nerds hat is if at least 10 orders come in during the show for a Guys Custom bracelet, and everyone will get a hat.
I need everyone to do that. I need those orders to come in because I need to steal JP's hat. I have not bought a ball cap in 4 years. All of my hat wear I steal from JP directly.
It's true. You take all my best hats.
Dirt Fascination, Cars and Coffee, the Rami Show hat, and then I took your Bring a Trailer hat, and I need a Bid Nerds hat. I need this.
You did take my Bring a Trailer hat, didn't
did.
you? Good Lord, it's true. Don't touch this Bid Nerds hat. Don't touch this one. This one is unworn. Actually, this one is Ross hanging out.
Yes, actually, Ross is hanging out. And right now, you're lucky if that hat lasts this night in the studio. Now I have to steal it.
This is Ross's hat.
It's got Ross's name on it. Why would
this
you wear
hat,
that,
so this particular hat has been to Idaho. And then it came back, and it needs to go to New Zealand. So Ross, you will get your hat. This is the very first one of these too. So Ross will be getting the very first Bid Nerds hat. He was the original Yahtzee winner, and he is one of the oldest.
My God, Ross, you sit on a collector's piece like that, you'll be able to afford that Fiat 850 in no time.
Ross is the man. He is OG Nerd Herd. So yeah, we are going to launch one of these kind of like mug club type things, only it's going to be a hat club. But we're working out the details on that, and we'll be plugging that soon. And there will be deals for you OG Nerd Herd members, because you guys rock. All right, let's get to some new predictions. We got cars on the list. What's the first one, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, I picked a car off of the MB market because the W201 Mercedes platform is one of my all-time favorites. I have owned three 190e 2.3 16 valves, but just like every kid that had a Volkswagen wanted a Porsche, every guy that had a 190 2.3 always wanted an Evo or an Evo 2. This particular car is a 1989 Mercedes-Benz 190e 2.5 Evolution 1 showing 49,000 original miles. This car was imported to New York, where it's on a clean New York title. It actually shows 79,600 kilometers, which is about 49,000 miles. The Evo ones have the pushed out 2.5 liter motor. And those cars make, I believe, around 200 or 210 horsepower. Evo 2s got higher compression and more aggressive cams, and those cars made about 235. But I think these are just around or just over 200 horsepower. They've also got a really slick body kit on them. You can see there's like a radius fender that goes all the way around the wheel wells. It's got a higher rear wing, a little bit deeper front chin spoiler. And then really cool cloth sort of plaid seats. It's a dog leg, get drag, 5-speed manual transmission, rear wheel drive, limited slip, differential, and all of that is stock. It's got 16-inch wheels, which are an inch taller and an inch wider than the 15s that my cars have come on. And I think the suspension is it still has self-leveling rear suspension, but I think the components of suspension are a little firmer on the Evo 1s. Basically, they built these cars so that they could homologate the parts and the spec of the motor for these to go into touring car racing, where these cars famously raced against the E30 BMWs and a host of other cars from around Europe. These cars are pretty badass, JP, and they're limited. They only made 502 of them for the world. So to see one in person would be pretty amazing. To have one titled on our shores keeps me up at night. I wish I was in a position to buy this car. I would love to have this thing. I bet it rips. This is one of those classic overachievers, and they are spectacular driving cars. These cars handle really, really well, and they're super fun to drive. So JP, pure unobtainium, titled in New York and on the MB market, low mileage. They're not quite numbered cars, but they only made 500 of them for the world. That to me qualifies as a limited edition. I know you drove my car a minute, but any other seat time behind these manual 190 Mercedes? And what do you think of this one?
This one looks pretty damn great. I want to know if it has coilovers or if it has that air ride system, and should they take it off. And I'm just giving my partner Deeb a hard time because he says that these need to be super, super, super stock in order to bring any money. So does this one qualify in that regard there, Deeb?
Yeah, I think it does. And then JP, I know, like, while you look at the photos, the side view photos of this car, it almost already looks like a safari car because it sits so high up on its suspension. But I have the coilovers sitting on a shelf. I didn't sell my coilovers with my last 190E. So if I were to buy a car like this, I would put the coilovers on, and not only would I transform the ride, but the car would look insane with these bulged out fenders and then slam to the ground. Obviously, I would need to pair that with exceptional wheel spacers, which would complete the look. But these cars, I mean, this is a car that, believe it or not, could hang with an 89 Carrera in the twisty stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you don't slide off the seats, at least these have the cloth seats and they're not bouncing. Well, I mean, do these bounce around like yours did? That was the one. Yeah. That's my one.
They're Recaro seats, though.
Yeah, I mean, the funny, if you've ever driven one of these, they've got there's springs in the seats that are just like you're in this car that feels super tight and super nimble, and you're like, yeah, everything's great about this, but you're like, why am I bouncing so much? This car is planted. You're like, what the hell? Yeah, I would. That's what I would change if I got one of these, either coilovers or Recaro like pole positions or something, which would be a shame in this particular car because those seats look so epically good with the plaid or whatever. But yeah, that just made me car sick. Honestly, I love this. I love everything about this car except those couple of things or that one thing.
Part of the problem are the the really shitty San Francisco roads. In Vegas, I think these seats would be a lot better.
Yeah, if you're on a freeway with no corners, right? Yeah. What do you think, Wade? You're a Mercedes guy.
I am. This is a beautiful car. I'm a mild Mercedes fan, but there's someone behind the keyboard who's bouncing up and down in his seat, ready to talk about this car. Who I think
give it to Mental.
I think wants to say a few more things about it. So I'm going to yield my time.
Sticky on my damn.
Go ahead, Mental. Tell us all about it and why we should get you this for Christmas.
This was it. You look at these historical markers that you don't know they're happening when they're happening. But the original Kawasaki Z1 started the entire superbike craze, and the Chrysler 300 started the muscle car craze. This was the DTM godfather. This thing, was built for one reason and only, and it was to knock BMW off the podium. In fact, there's a whole great special. This actually, the initial iteration of it got people fired because Mercedes doesn't make small cars. Mercedes doesn't make race cars. And then Mercedes got a new boss who said they wanted to beat BMW. And then this thing rolls right out, and it does so out of the gates. And there are just so many great YouTube videos of 90s Dutch touring cars, inches from each other bumper. And these things are all in the mix. This is drivable unobtainium history. It's amazing.
Mental, let me give you one piece since we are the bid nerds here. Mental, I'll be surprised if you don't know this fact, but I bet it'll be a surprise to JP. While Mercedes was developing the Cosworth head for this car to race, their intention to get notoriety for their new baby Benz W201 platform was to take it rally racing. And while the car was being developed, Audi dropped the Quattro, and instantly this car was passé. It was like it could not be competitive. So they took the head and the Getrag transmission, and they went different direction to go touring car racing with the car, where it dominated and forced BMW to up their game. But this car's original intention, the whole partnership with Cosworth, who did the head for the motor on this car, was to go rally racing, and this car never turned a wheel in the dirt. So there you go. A plethora of useless trivia at your service.
Having owned one, Deeb knows all, but does he know how much it's worth? What do you think this car will bring, Michael Deeb?
JP, our car is already sitting at $105,000, and it basically closes tomorrow. When I first saw it, I was like, well, this car with the low miles and being on a New York title, rather than a Vermont or a Montana title, I thought this car would have a chance to break $100,000, and it's already there. It's got just 6 bids, and it's already at $105,000. JP, this car is worth $120,000. I think it'll bring $120,000. So I'll go $120,000 and just start. I'm just going to stop right there. Sometimes I talk too much. Actually, every time I talk too much. $120,000 to you, JP. What do you got?
Man, yeah. Why is this one so much more than yours? Because yours was about the same miles, wasn't it?
Right, but this one's got bigger motor, different body kit, and it's one of 500 to be an actual Evo one. Okay,
got it. All right. It's got the bigger, like, over the fender thing. Hey, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm gonna go over you. I think people are paying weird stuff for stuff like this. I'm gonna go $125, $190.
Wow. Oh, 190.
That's
job.
125, 190.
I like how you went from surprised to see it at 105 right now to I'm going to go higher than Michael Deeb. I think that's unprecedented.
Not really. I just see people paying $140,000 for a crappy Safari. So this thing's nicer than that.
It's true. I mean, I feel like the last couple of weeks we've been under by like 20%. So now we're just shooting for the moon. But I don't know if this is a moonworthy car. I can't go higher than you guys.
Do people just not want cash? Is that what's going on? They're like,
cash is trash.
Cash is trash, and got to buy some stuff. Your background looks really good there, Wade.
Oh yeah,
you've got a lot of Christmas lights and stuff like that. Christmas lights happening. Yeah,
anyway, all right. I'm gonna shoot for the moon. I think the platform might hurt it a little bit, but we've been wrong so many times.
Yeah.
133 for the car. That's a lot of money.
133. All right, and here we go.
That's a retail number.
So I know I'm being weird. I'm going to go over all you guys. I'm going to say it's going to go for 140,201, which is the chassis number of the Evos.
Look at him getting super nerdy. I mean, why not go nuts? Maybe it'll go for 250. What the hell? Everyone agrees that it's going to be pretty high. I mean, this is the nerd herd is speaking. There a lot of people are in the $130 or more. So Deeb, it'll be kind of odd if you're the guy that comes in low on this thing and doesn't win it.
Yeah. If it comes in at like 130, 140, I expect to get a text from Solomon going, "That's twice, motherfucker."
What? So does this make you wish you had held on to yours? Do you think that these are coming up? Or do you think?
No, not the American ones. These limited ones, Evo 1s and Evo 2s bring crazy collector money. Evo 2s, there's a bunch of them that have made their way stateside because they're kind of blue chip collectibles, and they go for $300,000 to $400,000. And they only have another 30 horsepower of this car, but a way wilder body kit. And so Evo 2s are numbered. On the shifter JP, they have it says I think it says Evo 1, or it says Evo 2, and then it has the number of the car, and it's under like enamel or something. And so people go goo for the numbered Mercedes. But I think this is the deal, because these cars go for less than half of Evo 2s, and they're 95% of the performance. So I like these cars. I think they're super fun to drive. It's more fun than my car is or was.
It might be.
Move it around.
But yeah. Keep talking, Deeb.
Yeah. But anyway, if this car gets into that $130,000, $140,000 range, I would expect to see.
Is it lit up?
Several.
Is the mouse lit up?
Several more of these cars come to market. That would set 140 at Mental's bid would be a high watermark for a non-power pack Evo 1. Are we still live?
We're still live. Sorry. I have an inability to change the screen right now because the mouse decided it wanted to become disconnected.
Well, that's what you get for playing with fire.
And here we go. And now we're back. There we go. All JP.
Okay. All right.
And it was important. I wanted to talk about all that kind of stuff. But yes, JP, as you covered, Scott's got his bid at 139, and Jed and Jerry, and then Hans are there at 133, 127, and we're rolling all the way through all this. So yeah, everyone is in agreement that this is, as Deeb said, a blue chip collectible.
And Ann is hanging out with us too. There's a lady nerd out there in the herd. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out, Ann.
Welcome, Alabama.
Has everyone ordered their Guys Custom bracelet? There's a discount code in the it's in the, what is it, the body? What do you call that? The
video description.
Thanks, Wade. It's a good thing Wade's in the room. Bid Nerds 30 for 30% off.
And we need everyone to do this. Why, JP? Why does everyone need to go order?
Because if we get 10 orders, Rochelle will make everyone Bid Nerds hats for ordering. So you'll get your bracelet and you'll get a Bid Nerds hat. One of the early edition Bid Nerds hats.
Somebody in the comments wants to know that if they get a Bid Nerds hat, does it go to Idaho first?
It can, absolutely.
All hats go through Idaho, go through Anthony,
yes.
And then Rochelle will do a better job making sure that everybody. I think Ross is going to get like 15 boxes of bracelets going. What the heck?
Yeah.
Rochelle is watching, by the way, so everyone say hello to Rochelle. She's the Guys Custom Bracelets artist, and she is standing by.
She is also the glue that keeps whatever this is together.
There would be no show without Rochelle. That is for sure.
As much as we're grateful to Godden, we are grateful for Rochelle. That is damn straight. All right, JP, do you want to wrap up the MB market car, or are we just going to bounce over to the next one?
Well, I think we got all the bids, right?
Yeah, all right. So, Wade, I picked this next car for you. This is a 2007 Ferrari 599 GTB Fiorano, and this car has a 6-speed manual transmission conversion. Our car is on Bring a Trailer out of West Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I know it's not on our shores per se, but I think it'd be pretty straightforward to bring this car into pretty much any state except California. Our car also is just 8,000 miles. It's an alumni car, a car that ran on Bring a Trailer in November of 2022, where it sold for $156,000, sans the 6-speed manual transmission. It only had 7,000 miles at that time. So somebody bought the car, put a manual in it, and then drove it for, put about 1,000 miles on it. And now we're seeing that car again as it has reappeared on BAT. Listen, I believe Ferrari made like a handful of the 599 GTBs, non-Fiorano, which is a handling package, with manual transmissions, and those cars go for like $400,000 to $600,000. They are pure unobtainium, and I don't remember the number, but they made like 4 or 12 of them or something. It's really low. Do you know it?
Less than 100, less than 50. I think 30 for the U.S., 20 for the world, or something like that. Very few.
Those numbers sound high to me, but and they were early versions of the car.
Yeah, very, very few.
Right. And Fiorano, correct me if I'm wrong, the Fioranos came at the end of the model run for the 599, right?
So they're all Fioranos, but the HGTE is the handling package add-on. So those are the later 2010, 2011 cars. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So the Fiorano is just a name for the car.
Yep.
Fiorano was a handling package on the 355. So when I saw Fiorano, I thought it was a handling package. But you're right. It's the HETCs, and they've got those ugly multi-piece wheels. So this is a straightforward car. It does have the optional BBSs. Those seats that look like racing buckets were the standard seat, right, Wade? Like that's the seat that's in your car.
I'd have to see. I haven't gotten to the interior yet, but there are a couple seat options. There's the regular bucket seats. There's the Daytona style seats. Could be either or.
Well, Daytona is the thing, but it's got the little scallops so you could put a racing harness in the car.
Yep.
These cars are shockingly wide, but they're unbelievably fun to drive. And if you do an exhaust system on these cars, it literally sounds like a 90s F1 car, because basically it is. Insane, fun, great handling car, super predictable at the limit, easy to drive. I've never lived with one like Wade has, but I worked for Ferrari for a couple of years, and I took many a test drive in these cars, and they are a blast. It's a car I would like to own. The manual, I think, is going to add value here. So if we're assuming that this guy paid $30,000 or $40,000 to have the manual swap done, does this car bring more than the $30,000 or $40,000 over the 156 that it brought 2 years ago? So JP, I send it to you. What do you think of the car, and what do you think of the idea of doing these manual swaps, which are becoming more and more common, certainly on Ferraris, but on a few other cars, you know?
Can we Mondial swap this car? Is there a way to make it look more Mondial-ish? Because then I think it would be more in line with what we're used to. This car is hot. I love the 3 pedals being put into this thing. That is what would hold me back from ever buying one of these. Otherwise, the F1 transmission is cool, but I think if I'm going to be in something like this, I want 3 pedals. And I feel like it turns it, changes it from a, GT road car to an actual sports car. Man, I want to get behind the wheel of this. That looks just like that cabin just looks like a place that I want to be. Those seats look amazing. What do you think, Wade? You're the guy, because you actually own one of these.
I do. So I have an 08. It has the regular F1 transmission. I haven't done the 6-speed transmission. Maybe someday, but not right now. For the time being, though, I've thoroughly enjoyed the one that I have. It's an 08. It has the dealer added HGTE package that a former owner did however many years ago, when you can do it after the fact. But really fun car, very wide, which is kind of odd. It doesn't look as wide as it is, but it's a big car inside and out, and it's a lot of fun. The thing about these cars, the V12 engine was from the Ferrari Enzo. It's a Ferrari Enzo derived engine. So it screams and it rips. And I feel like these are kind of undervalued. I know a few years ago you could pick one up for like 110 grand. But at the end of the day, this is a V12 engine, really limited-ish production Ferrari that I think has gone underappreciated. Now, this is the right color combination, seemingly Rosso Corso over the tan interior. It has a lot of the carbon fiber bits on the inside, super low miles, red brakes, nice options. My question with these 6-speed conversions, though, is, first off, I'm curious, Michael Deeb, do you know who did it? Does it say in the description? Because there are a couple places that do it.
I didn't get that far.
And there's a couple ways that you can do it. I think collectively, you are going to spend $20,000 to $30,000 or more to do it. And the places that do it right now are a little backed up because they're doing 599 conversions, they're doing 360 and 430 conversions, and people want the conversions. And a lot of times they do actually bring more money than what the conversion costs if you don't factor in the fact that some people waited like 4 or 5 months to get it done. But I am wondering at this point, with more and more and more conversions being done, if there will ever be a slight value preference to an OEM car, something original, something that wasn't made by a company that may or may not exist 10 or 15 years from now. And you may or may not be able to service or get parts for the cables or the shifters or the whatever might break that might have been third party manufactured. So I'm curious how these cars hold up, these conversions. But in the meantime, they are very popular and very fun, I have been told. But fun fact, there is actually an OEM 6-speed for sale right now in the US for, I believe, $869,000. So JP, if you want one, you can get one.
Yeah.
That's
hey,
crazy.
Wade, I think that's a really good question that you ask with regards to would the original one down the road be worth more? Now, obviously, only time will tell. But in the moment, which is where we're living right now, the F1 gearbox is a single clutch gearbox, and it is inferior to the joy and the smoothness that you could drive with a 6-speed manual. And because they're so rare, even if you factor in all the ones that have been converted, I believe, and again, it could be naive, but I believe these will always bring a premium over a standard one. If the mileage and the wear and tear is apples to apples. Now, if you bring me the most pristine sub 1,000-mile F1 gearbox, one that looks like it just came off the showroom floor, that somebody will pay a big price for that over a car that's been maybe driven to within an inch of its life, but has a 6-speed manual in it. But that's the only way that you could quantify that an F1 boxed car would bring more money, is if it was just as factory delivered. Versus a car that might have been driven into the ground. But if they're two 20,000-mile examples and one's got a manual, even if somebody paid to put the manual in it, that car's going to bring all the money. And that's a car I'd rather have, and I bet you would too, if you ever got a chance to drive one. These later manual gearbox cars are light of clutch and positive of feel through the gated transmission, through the gated box on top. They are a fun car to drive.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about most of the converted cars. EAG down in Texas does a lot of them, and they have a system down for their parts and pieces and labor and everything. And they have, I would imagine now, dozens, if not 100 or more cars at any time that they're working on converting between the 599, the 430, 360, a whole bunch of others. So a lot of people are getting it done, and the process and the parts is a lot better. I know when they first started doing their cars, there were some questions about the parts they were using and the fitment and how it looked and how it drove and the reliability. But now, having, I don't know how many cars they've done and however many cars other people have done, but after the first 100, 150 conversions, I would be a lot more comfortable now saying, all right, all the parts and pieces have been manufactured properly by these third parties. They drive amazingly. They can be serviced one way or another, so I support it.
All right, Mental, have you driven one of these? Either with
I've,
a manual or otherwise?
No, I haven't driven a touring Ferrari in decades. Everything I've been driving has been the track-oriented stuff. I think part of the attraction of this, especially with the backup that Wade was talking about, is the fact that Ferrari does not and has not made a manual transmission for decades. And a lot of just like in the Porsche crowd and some other crowds, you've got your drivers, you've got your collectors. And Ferrari does have a large percentage of, even if they're not actually driving them, they just want to be perceived as drivers. And you're going to see a lot. Yeah, I think in those cases, it's going to bring that manual transmission to a higher value than the stock.
Why do we think Ferrari just is so tone deaf that they don't build a manual version of some of their cars, just make some special ones? They would make so much freaking money. I mean, look at what Porsche did with the 991 when they had the GT3 and everyone was bitching about how it was a PDK. Porsche listened, they came out with a 911R and, they sold it for twice as much as a regular GT3. And then everyone bought those and speculated on them. People were trying to get $1 million for them. And then Porsche said, GT3 now has a manual. Why the hell doesn't Ferrari do that? Ferrari is all about the money. What do you... Looks like
Ferrari
Deeb's got a
Ferrari has this elitist air about them that whatever the new technology, whatever they call it, solutions, we come up with a solution for shaving, a fraction of a second off the shift times. So, first it was single clutch, then it was dual clutch, and now it's the speed of the dual clutch, upshifts and downshifts that are measured in milliseconds. And all of the Ferrari marketing brags about the materials and the lap times and the milliseconds that go into that. And that's what they stand on as a reason for not giving it back to the dark ages and having you sit there and do all the work yourself, because you can't drive their car as fast as their test driver can. But in a car where it's all basically automated, you get the same shift times that their test drivers get, and you're experiencing the pure Ferrari performance. That's the marketing. That's the attitude. It doesn't make sense to me. Listen, as much as I love the prancing horse, go get me, what is the new one called? The ST? I would take that car all day long. They've
also historically just never listened to their customers.
Yeah.
You
not.
don't know what you want. We'll tell you what you want. And good little Ferrari people, like the hero in a Lifetime movie about domestic abuse, just go, yes, thank you, sorry.
Except, they're counting milliseconds and they're talking about, well, what about counting dollars? I mean, get on it.
I mean, so this actually comes from the era where they started to care about the milliseconds of the shift. So from the 550 and 575, those F1 transmissions were rough. The 599 was the first one where it was clunky but still fast and technologically advanced, and they sprinkled in a couple special order 6-speeds for the people who opted for, the 2 people in the world who opted for it. But after the 599 came the F12, which was the sort of, I guess, breakthrough dual clutch technical advancement car that was like, this is it. You're never going to shift as fast as the computer in this car does. And from this point forward, we're not going back to it. So the F12 was it. The 812 now is super fast and super quick as well. And Ferrari has this sort of, I think, identity issue where they're also going hybrid. They're also going, really, really technologically advanced, where I feel like Porsche is still driver focused. They're still fun. They still want the, manual transmission. They still want people to kind of have that raw driving experience. But Ferrari is like, we want to be the fastest. We want to be technologically ahead. We want the lap times. We want the kind of.
Then why do they make the California?
So the Roma is what they make now.
Oh, sorry, Roma.
And
whatever.
the Roma is also a lot of tech. I mean, it's a lot of screens. It's a lot of things going on. It's not quite the same fast
Tesla
lap time.
Plaid is faster than that thing.
It is, but it's still a Ferrari.
So does that mean Ferrari's going to go EV basically if it's technically faster?
The
and better?
SF90 is hybrid. They have a few in the pipeline that are the hybrid. I don't know that they'll go full electric.
296 GTV
or the
is a
296.
hybrid.
Yeah,
but a hybrid is a hybrid.
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying,
the SF90 is
are they going to go EV? I mean, are they just going to because eventually EV technology is going to surpass ICE, internal combustion rigs. And so are they going to just basically switch over? I don't see Porsche ever just fully switching over to EV.
So Porsche has their EV only stuff. They have the Taycan, which is its own platform. I don't think Ferrari yet has its own EV platform. And maybe when they do, it will be more of the friendlier road cars like the Parasangue and whatever replaces the Roma and stuff like that. I mean, having like an all electric, like flagship, like LaFerrari equivalent, that would kind of be bizarre, but maybe someday.
Mental, is Jabroni on the chats right now? Is he watching?
He is not.
Jabroni's not hanging out.
The one day, yeah.
He's literally one of the top Ferrari salespeople in the country. He works at the number 2 dealership for the last 10 years, and he's their top producer. They send him to Europe and all this stuff, so he can answer the question about are they going to go full EV or not. I don't think they are, but if anybody would know, it would be Jabroni.
So we'll bring it back to this,
when we cap this. Yeah, when we cap this episode, we'll ask him.
All right, bring it back to this car. There is a receipt. This was installed by a Ferrari dealership there, and it cost him $54,000.
Wait, for the 6-speed?
Correct, for the EAG 6-speed manual conversion kit.
No. Hold on. It says the ownership by European Auto Group of of Round Rock, Texas. Is that the same company?
Yeah, EAG. So they do the manual conversions.
Yep.
But is that Ferrari?
Ferrari installed it. You have the option on their website. You have the option of installed by them, or you can just buy the kit, and then they have a dealer that will install it for them.
Yeah, I'm really confused there. Okay.
So EAG makes the parts or sources the parts and makes the extra parts, and then EAG can either install them, or apparently you can send it to the Ferrari dealerships. I actually didn't know that Ferrari supports this, but apparently they do. And
well, I don't know. I said, if it's West Coast Dream Machines, they're in
the body of the ad. It says let's see here, converted to manual operation under current ownership by European Auto Group of Round Rock, Texas.
Yeah,
that says to me that they did it there. But you're saying there's a receipt that
right there. It's in your picture. In a picture.
Yeah, no, I see that you're listing something, but why? That seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? I mean, why would the ad not clarify that? Why wouldn't BAT say, okay, EAG built the thing and then it was sent to a Ferrari dealership to be done? The ad says converted to manual operation under current ownership by European Auto Group of Round Rock, Texas. That seems oddly incomplete, or whoever wrote the ad. It's a weird discrepancy. It's an unforced error.
Yeah, I didn't know you could have somebody else. I don't know if it's a Ferrari dealership or a Ferrari.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's not a Ferrari dealership. It is West Coast Dream Machines in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay, well that's a big difference.
So yeah,
that's a really big difference.
He didn't send it down to Texas.
A Ferrari dealership.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because he is in Canada, so he didn't send the whole car down to Texas. He did source the parts from EAG, which they make the parts and the pieces and the kits and everything, and they usually do the cars there. They have a whole warehouse and facility, but seemingly he didn't want to send the car all the way down from Canada, which sure makes sense. But I would wonder what that other place's qualifications are for installing a kit like this properly.
They are the Vancouver area premier luxury, muscle, classic, rare, and exotic.
Perhaps they're an authorized installer, maybe.
No doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a huge distinction, though, because some Ferrari people are really anal about who actually does the work.
Yeah.
And it used to be if the work wasn't done by a Ferrari shop, not just a known Ferrari place, but it has to have the prancing horse on the door. They just
ruins the whole
recognize
car.
it. Yeah.
I want to offer you another solution. If Wade is correct that they're super busy at EAG, maybe he didn't want to wait in line, and so he had them send the kit to his local tuner to put it in because he trusted him enough to do it, versus waiting maybe 4 to 6 months to get an appointment to get his kit that he already paid for installed. So my guess is it was time rather than logistics.
Yeah, it very well could be. And also, I mean, it's not cheap to send your car from Canada all the way down to Texas and back up too. I mean, add another $5-6 grand for transportation and it adds up.
Yeah, it's like being a McLaren owner in Vegas. You got to send your car to get serviced in a whole other country.
The second page that Mental pulled up for us, the invoice 1097, the grand total for the bill was $77,000.
Is that U.S. or Canadian? Not that it makes too much of a difference, but
yeah, it's got a dollar sign. So I don't know. Do they use a dollar sign in Canada?
Canada, I think they.
I think when you're paying Canadian money or American money, but.
Well, let's get to some bids because I think the Canadian thing is going to hurt it.
It is.
That's a big problem.
We're going to have a record long show tonight. So anyways, our car is at $130,599 with 2 days till close. Again, 8,000 miles, and it ran for $156,000 2 years ago. Somebody just spent $77,000 to get this kit put in. I think this car brings $195,000 where it will sell.
195. So you don't think it's going to break 200? Man,
because it's in Canada.
Because it's in Canada. Yeah, and I agree. And that's why I'm kind of with you there, but I think there's just so much money sloshing around all of a sudden. I don't know if these guys are all like building cruise missiles or something like that. What the heck is going on? I'm going to say 200,599.
Yeah, if this was a U.S. car, beautiful, perfect spec, Rosso over tan, low miles, great options.
Miles, yeah.
If this were a U.S. car, it'd probably be in the 230 to 240 range. It being in Canada kind of hurts it a little bit, but I almost wonder if somebody sees this as an opportunity to still get a relatively rare car. So there'll be a slight, I guess, hurt for being in Canada, but I think it still brings like $210, which is a discount, especially for a car like this, but not all the money.
Ray at Mental.
I think the people that are looking for this car and living in this realm will be just non-affected by the fact that it's in Canada. So I am also going to say, but I got to pick a number underweight, so I'm going to say 209.
That's a good bid. You know, the out of country thing, Canada is always an issue. We definitely see problems with that, but it's not like it's on another continent. You know, it's not in Europe. Someone could very easily just go across the border. You could go put eyeballs on this car for not a lot of money, right? You could go get on a plane for almost anywhere in the country and go up and have a nice weekend in Vancouver, BC, go see the car, make sure it's legit, and then come up, you know, I mean, maybe not from an auction point of view, but you know what I mean? After you've, let's say you win this thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sight unseen kind of thing. But if it's in Germany or Europe somewhere, I don't know, man. That I think makes it much worse. I think the guy that wants this car is going to be willing to pay because there's just so few 3-pedal ones. So, all right. What's the Nerd Herd say about this car? Are we getting many bids?
We are. We're anywhere from Jed and Jerry at 191. Buddha says 199,599 because we've started that horrible trend. Mm-hmm. Tom's in at 242. I'm going to scroll down here, and Chris says 203,599.
All right, we are rocking and rolling. All right, let's move on to the next car.
All right, JP, a car that I had spotted and then you had sent to me is this stunning 1994 Porsche 911 Carrera 2 Cabriolet. This car has 43,000 miles, but wait, it is not a U.S. car. This was a Canadian market car. So it's not called an America Roadster. It's called a C2 Cabriolet, but it does have the factory wide body kit. So it's a very interesting car, John. The car is silver, but the first thing that you'll notice is this incredible standard, or I should say stock, magenta interior. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, bam, the door closes right on your shin because our car, as rare as it is, and low miles and almost interior to sample, is saddled or straddled with an automatic transmission. Go back a photo. Go back one photo, Mental, please. No. Go back one photo in the bucket. Nope. Yeah, right there. Look at that. There's your gear change selector right there in the tachometer. At kilometers, because it's in Canada, 43,000 miles. C2s. Yeah, C2s. I'm not sure how many they made, and this car is on Doug DeMiro's site on Cars and Bids, so they did not mention how many they built of this, but I do know that it was super limited. I'm guessing less than 1,000 of these were made for the rest of the world. Super cool car. It's out of Vienna, Virginia, 22182. Yeah, so it's in the United States, but it originated as a Canadian domestic car. That's why it's a Carrera 2 cab and not an America Roadster. But it is the same car as the America Roadster, but just produced for a different market from a marketing standpoint. So turbo, wide body, rear wheel drive, but automatic transmission kind of holds it back. The mileage is low. The interior is spectacular. I still think this car will bring some money. But John, with those miles, in this condition and with that interior, if this car was a manual, I think it would have brought a lot of money. America Roadsters are surprisingly soft, I guess, because they're convertibles. But I think they're probably maybe the sleeper of the 964 range. Cool car, John, but an automatic gearbox. Those are not factory speedline wheels. This car should have come on Cup 1s, right? Cup 2s or Cup 1s?
Cup 1s.
Cup 1s, but these are the knockoff of the Speedlines, and it doesn't say whether or not the standard wheels are included in the sale. So, JP, I send it to you with an automatic gearbox. Still interested, or are you completely Pasadena?
This is a big disappointment. I was so sad face when I saw that that 2-pedal.
You sent it to me, and I sent it back to you. I know automatic, and you're like, no.
I was looking on my phone going, oh my God, this guy, I was just drooling over it. A wide body 964 cab in this crazy color combo. I know the wheels aren't real, but they're the, 3-piece Cup 1 looking thing. It just looks the business. And then it's just, that Tiptronic of this era just isn't good. I mean, there's something to be said for the Tiptronic in the 996 and 997. At least it has buttons on the steering wheel. It's still not good. It's still really just an automatic with a torque converter and stuff like that. And it's, when you hit that button, it takes about an hour. It's basically mailing a letter to Porsche asking it to shift. But in this car, it's just there's just no way around it. You can't. I mean, I guess if you're like, oh man, if this is about the only this is the only benefit of someone who like lost the use of their legs. At least they'd be able to drive this car around and look cool, right? I mean,
gonna Alex Zanardi this car.
That's about it. I mean, it's the only person that can enjoy this thing because everyone else would be just ticked off, and it's just God. I'm just so mad. What do you think, Wade?
Oh, I mean, look, it probably would still be kind of a fun, quirky car, but you're right. It misses the mark. But I don't know if this is the kind of car that goes to somebody who cares that much. This almost strikes me as somebody who maybe this was their second Porsche or the wife's Porsche, or somebody who just kind of wanted a Porsche and spec'd it kind of quirky, but maybe wasn't a driver. And if that's the case, they still got something interesting. I am surprised you like the interior so much with the matching soft top in purple or whatever that is. Really odd. And one of the comments said somebody really paid extra for this. They checked every box that said purple.
Well, they paid extra for the Tiptronic. I mean, that was like $5,000 just to have two pedals back then. Everybody's like, ooh, woo.
At that time, was it something people were like intrigued by, or was it like so they thought it was something maybe technologically advanced or something more?
I mean, you got to. I mean, back in this era, Porsche was in mad trouble. They almost went out of business during this era. Until the 993 came out, they almost went insolvent. I mean, they were effed. They couldn't sell cars. The 964 was so long in the tooth. So they were trying to do anything they could until that 993 came out. They kind of knew that they had a winner, and that's why that's why Porsche kind of stuck around. I mean, these weird colors, people were ordering stuff like that. And the Tiptronic was one of those things. It was one of the few things that Porsche had that seemed like it was high tech, because in the same era, you've got things like, Supras and 300ZX. The Japanese were eating their lunch with these crazy high tech, Japanese sports cars. Yeah. And they were reliable on top of that. And Porsche still had this bug-eyed looking thing from the 60s. And the only thing that Porsche could lean on was like, oh, look, we've got a manual, but it's faster because it's a computer. I mean, never mind, it was a Atari 2600 level, technology. But I mean, it was, but they could say it had a computer in it. And yeah, so you're right. People were into it. And you're right. This was a car that was probably bought for some rich guy's wife or a dentist's, or something like that. Some guy named Chad that had a sweater over his shoulder and just wanted to cruise down the beach, on Martha's Vineyard or something like that.
It was
but he just, I mean, this is a better, if all you're going to do is drive around Manhattan to the Catskills or something like that. All right. I mean, it's pretty much, you're going to be in traffic the whole damn time. So why not have a Tiptronic? There is something to be said for that. You could pull out your Motorola brick phone and call someone and, call the maid and let her know to turn down the sheets because you're coming up to the beach house. I mean, I don't know. Mental, you'd look pretty good in this Barry car. What do you think?
I am so torn, and I do want to issue a challenge to everybody tonight. So our man in the comments, Kevin Bodman, owns a restoration shop, and he says it's about $25K to convert one of these. And I think three of the four of us, if this was a manual, would drive this thing all day long. So let's talk about what we think it'll go for. And then I want all of us to say what the max price you would pay for it, knowing that you are going to spend $25K on a manual conversion to have a wide-bodied purple interior cab, which I friggin' love.
Yeah. Yeah. I question that. Is someone in the comments saying that they would do a conversion? Like actually
Kevin
provide?
Bowman, who's talked about, he owns a restoration shop, and he has told someone asked David asked if it'd be worth to swap it. And he came back and said it's about $25K to do it. So I feel like
hold on.
That was an educated statement.
My question is, does he perform that, or is this something that he heard that's how much it costs?
Kevin, do you perform this service?
Because I have heard that number bandied about, but I've never seen anyone actually get it done for that. My understanding is that the true conversion cost is well over 30, especially because the computer won't, like, you can't take a 6-speed out of a 964 and attach it to this engine. The computer, the management has to talk to each other somehow. So you have to change the management as well.
Yes.
Deeb, you're chomping at the bit. You know something about this? Do you know how to do it? Or
no, I was just gonna tease you because the 964 didn't come with a 6-speed.
Sorry, well, but even then, if you wanted to convert it to a 6-speed or a 5-speed or G50 or anything that you try to attach to this thing, you're also going to have to change the computer. So maybe, I mean, my understanding is a 5-speed or a 6-speed G50 off of a 964 is $25,000 just for the unit.
Just for the box, yeah.
Just forget the installation and forget changing the fuel management. So I think you start, like, I want to talk to someone who's actually done it. I'm sick of hearing people say, oh, I heard it's this much or that much. I really want to know, because it is a good question, because Tiptronics typically go for about half the money that a manual would go for. So if it were a regular 964, just a coupe, a regular 964 coupe with a 5-speed is going to be somewhere around 100 to 100. It's going to be between $90,000 and $120,000 depending on condition miles, right? Tiptronics are going for in the 50s. Like, people just don't buy it. So if it were worth it, if it were only $20,000 to convert one of these, I think all the Tiptronics would get bought up immediately. But I think the reality is a much harder pill to swallow. I think it's a much more expensive endeavor. So yeah, I'm really interested to hear in the comments if someone's actually done this or if they've just heard of it. Let's get to some bids. Deeb, what do you think this thing's going to bring?
So it's so hard when we look at cars that are on Cars and Bids with one day to close, like this car. It's sitting at $50,500 on 11 bids, and it closes tomorrow. With Cars and Bids, we don't see a big flurry at the end. And I think a lot of people are scared to wait till the end because, again, that clock moves so fast on Cars and Bids site. If I'm looking at 50 grand on Bring a Trailer, I think this car is going to bring 100% more money on the day of close. But I don't think that's going to happen here. So while my original knee-jerk reaction to this car might have been optimistically high, I gotta temper my enthusiasm for this car and start to get down to brass tacks. So I may be the high guy, but I'm gonna give you $75,000. Man, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like it's worth more than me. I'm gonna go $85,000. I just think that this car, despite being Canadian, is too special. And at $85,000, if we're going there, mental, if it's only 25 grand to do that, and you're in this car 210, I think you still have equity in the car. If this were a manual, even conversion car, I still think it would be like 120 to 125 grand with under 50,000 miles and that special interior, being that it's a wide body. So JP, 85 grand after all that verbose talking. $85,000 to you. You're going to come in over or under that number?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be under. I'm going to say 65,964.
Really?
Yeah. I think it.
I don't think it's dead.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, as much as I hate a Tiptronic, this is a special car, a wide body 964. They don't. There aren't any, right? The only way you're getting a wide body 964 is if you get the C4 wide body or you get a turbo. They didn't make a C2S, and so this is it, the American Roadster. I think here in Vegas it'd be a great car to cruise the strip. I mean, this is definitely a car that looks baller as hell. But I don't know. I definitely want to know more about how much it would cost to convert it, because I think if it did go as low as that and you could plop a 5-speed in there for $25,000-$30,000, yeah, I mean, this should be a $150,000 car if it were a 5-speed manual. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, this one's tough. Like you said, Michael Deeb, I don't know if we're going to see a ton of flurry of bids in the last, few minutes. And if that's the case, I don't see how much more this car can go. I mean, I really wasn't thinking more than 60 or 65 grand, but maybe I'm going to talk myself into it like you did. And I'll go a smidge higher at 69,000. But I don't know that I would buy this car to convert it either. I mean, if I'm going to spend another 20 or 30 grand and get something that isn't quite true, sure, it might be fun. But if I'm going to spend that money and it's not going to be a true original car and it's going to take weeks, if not months or more to get it done.
Easily half a year.
And, then after all is said and done, it's still not the car. I would just leave it as is. But it probably isn't the car for me as it sits either. So
what do you think, Mental?
Notoriously, I am not a collector, and should I have the means, yes, in the 66 range, this would totally be it for me. And Kevin is swearing that he can do it with a G50, pedals, and a speed sensor, and he says he has done it for that price that he has quoted. So even if he's within, I'd be willing to get this
shop.
Yeah, Kevin, exactly. If I buy this car, I'm calling you.
JP suddenly has his hand on the button.
So
right now.
Our next episode brought to you by Kevin's Restoration Shop and Porsche's 5-speed conversion house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
where's Kevin's shop?
Yeah, I would. You've got me all into these Cabros and weird colored interiors because they started hanging out with all you Porsche snobs, and now I truly do love it. And I would, yes. It's just fantastic. All right, so I got to pick a number. I do think everything on that is going to hold it back. I'm going to be stunned if it gets much past. So I'm going to say 71964.
That's a good bid. All right, before we get to the last car of the night, just as a reminder, Guys Custom Bracelets, we've got the 30% off sale going on right now. The link is in the description. It's Guys, GYX Customs.etsy.com, and the discount code is BidNerds30. So type that in for 30% off. And Rochelle, the artist, is standing by. Operators are standing by. This is kind of like the old school. What were the shopping network? When they were
shopping network that brought us the gift of Mike Rowe.
Yes, is that where Mike Rowe came from?
That's where he got his start. His first
before
television
he got the
gig.
dirty jobs. All right, very cool, very nice. All right, she is standing by. She's got gifts for you guys. And if
it's called Guys Customs. Does that mean she only has things for males?
Well, that's a good question, Mental. As it turns out, she does make all kinds of really cool stuff for ladies as well. So you can get some gifts for the ladies. There's some cool necklaces and bracelets and all that fun stuff. Yeah, how do you like that? All right, we're
if she moves to California, could she call it They's Customs?
These are, look, it's non-binary. I guess you can just
at least it wasn't a Holocaust joke.
Yeah. Hey baby, why don't you put on something stripey tonight? If you guys,
oh Jesus,
if enough of you order a Guys Custom bracelet or anything from Guys Customs, Rochelle's gonna make some hats for you guys. So make it happen. Let's do it. I know she wants to make the hats. All right. Let's move on to the last car of the night. What do we got on the list, Michael Deeb?
JP, you picked a car.
Wait. I'm sorry. Just brace yourself, Anthony. Continue.
Okay. Chris Carbine selected a really cool Porsche 911 Carrera 3 out of Europe. And John didn't want to cover a car overseas. So Chris Carbine, on behalf of all the bid nerds, we apologize. Thank you for submitting that car and keep submitting cars to us. But the C3 was too far away to be relevant to our market. With that in mind, JP selected, Anthony, please don't throw anything at your screen, a 2008 Tesla Roadster. This car is in New Orleans, Louisiana, so you could ask Chris Carbine to check it out for you, which is ironic. Our car is showing 43,000 miles, and it's on Bring a Trailer as an alumni. The seller of the car bought it on May 8th of this year, 2023, with the same mileage of 43,000 miles, and he paid, or she paid, or they paid $96,000. Soon thereafter, and by soon I mean in August 22nd, they tried to sell the car, and the car was only bid up to $77,000. That same seller is now bringing the car back to market with the same mileage of 43,000 miles for the twilight blue metallic over cream leather and equipped with staggered spoked 16 and 17-inch wheels. Back to market out of New Orleans, and they're trying to get their money out of it, it looks like. And I think they're going to have a really tough time since the market has softened and changed. Interesting, the mileage, JP. It's not low enough miles to be a car I think you would consider putting away unless you were really playing the long game. I mean, think about what an original Mac brings today, or an original iPhone would bring today. Wade, I'm sure you could speak to this. Having a, say, sub 20,000 mile original Tesla Roadster, especially one that might have been made in the first year and arguably be the worst of the breed, could be a great car to speculate on and put away and sell down the road. But I don't think this is far enough down the road. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know these cars trade for $100,000, but the market is soft. This car does have some miles on it, and it failed to sell in August. So I think it's uphill climb for this guy. I'm skeptical that he'll make his mark this time around. I know we saw it with Shoddy's car, but this is an entirely different ball of wax. These photos aren't very good. This car doesn't have niche, oh, you got to have this one appeal, because there are plenty of other Tesla Roadsters in the market, whereas Shoddy's car was an original build. So it's not apples to apples in my mind. This car coming back to market for a second and now arguably third time around in the last 6-7 months. This is a fool's errand that BAT is listing this car again. I'm shocked, John, that BAT is listing this car with a reserve for a second go round. To me, like, the only way this car should have been back on here is to be running at no reserve, and that's not what's going on here. So this is a snap back scratcher, a head scratcher. So, John, what am I missing? What do you see going on here? Because there's kind of a lot to unpack with this one. What's your take?
Yeah, I didn't put this on here just because it was a Tesla and it's an EV and stuff like that. It really was a head scratcher, the fact that it's coming back on. When it failed to meet reserve back, what was that, in July, in the comments, everyone was saying a CAC would have helped. What is a CAC? Do we know what that is? Does anybody know what a CAC is in regard to Tesla? Is that something to do? Is that a battery? Is that an upgrade? Is that CAC level should be standard reporting in these auction write-ups. Is that a battery assessment or something like that?
Calculated amp hour capacity. So battery health.
So a battery
health.
Yep. Has that been updated from the previous ad to now? And how big a deal will that be? So have the batteries been updated between the first time and last time? Because that seems like that would be a big deal, right, Wade?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question, obviously, on battery health is warranted because we were saying earlier before the show started that very few people actually can maintain these older Teslas. There's one guy up in Seattle, Medlock and Sons. He used to work for Tesla and got quit or fired or left or whatever. And he's the only guy that works on these original Tesla Roadsters and has the parts and pieces to do so. If you can't work on them and can't fix them, what are you supposed to do? And one of the big things in all these electric cars is the battery. So you're going to replace the battery, some cells, all cells, the whole battery, the whole thing. If the battery capacity is too low, I mean, you can drive it for 50 miles and then recharge it, and that's kind of it. So that's a big question. It's one of a big maintenance item on a car like this. And it's interesting that this car is trying to be resold. This person absolutely rode the wave, like one of the comments says, and is kind of the last man holding the bag here. These original Tesla Roadsters had their time when Tesla was all the rage a year or two ago, and nobody thought Elon was out of his mind buying Twitter, which is X, and all the other crazy things that he's done now. Super polarizing. But at the time, people were spending 30, 40, 50 grand for these Roadsters, and the super nice ones were going for 80, 90, 100, $120,000 for a car that is somewhat historically significant, but otherwise a pretty crappy car. It's a Lotus Elise with all the fun taken out of it. Not very reliable, not very fast, not very good at being an electric car based on today's metrics. And it's old and may or may not have ever been maintained. 40 or 50,000 miles on a car like this is also like not low, and I would actually argue kind of high if you're trying to market it as like a collector, a first Tesla, this or that. So yeah, this person is going to lose a bag on this car, and it's unfortunate, but you know, that's what happens. That's what happens when you speculate. This is a car that a lot of people speculated on.
What do you
think?
think?
Great takeaway. Mental. Would you rather have this or an MR2?
I'll take this. Even if it doesn't run. If I got to put all the batteries in myself, like 1,000 AA's over an MR2 every time. I actually, I had an opinion, a legit opinion on these, but I actually just learned a ton of stuff listening to Wade and how these are regarded in the world. I thought they were neat, but yeah, cool car, but I believe somebody just held on a little too long thinking they were going to make money. And that, by no means is this in our concept, a low mile example. It's not.
Well, it doesn't appear that the issue has been addressed. I mean, yes, it has the CAC in this ad, but it's like, it's not mentioned in the ad. It's not like they they should have written the ad saying, now here's all the information, and here's what that means. And I mean, the comments are all over the place on this thing. People are still asking questions about that stuff. They're talking about cracked sills, or I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. But this ad, this seller, this car, everything about it just seems odd. And I just don't understand why BAT, I'm with you, Deeb, agreed to bring this back at all, much less without reserve, because there's no discernible difference between the ad from before and here. Anybody speculating in the comments?
I agree with you. Well, no, the first thing they do is call out the seller about the CAC, and then he says, here it is, but there's no link to it. And then later he says, I put a photo of the current CAC, and it's the last photo in the bucket. But BAT their writers are so obtuse about all they want to do is the facts. So like BAT would never address the concern that prevented it from reaching reserve in the previous run of the car. They would never do that. So it's up to the seller to address that stuff himself. And I don't think he does a good job because he doesn't give any explanation on his own behalf. He just says, no, there's the photo, go get it. So again, this guy bought this car for $96,000. I still think he's got a firm grip on it. Will it bring more than the 77 where it failed to sell in August? Yeah, it could. And it might sell for that because at 77, it didn't meet reserve last time. Like you speculated, JP, I would think that the reserve has to be set based on its own comp. So my guess is reserve at this point is now at 70 grand. Our car is sitting at $69,420, which is a funny ending, 420. But it closes in 3 days from now. So this is weird, JP, but I'm going to give you an interesting take. I'm going to go $80,000 and it'll sell there because it's going to make reserve, because reserve has to be lower than the previous watermark. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's at 69 now. It's got 3 days to go. I think it gets to 80 grand. He doesn't get his money back, but he gets the car out of his garage.
Well, if he needs parts for the thing, he could always book a ride on an X flight up into space and go grab Elon's from up there and grab some parts and come on back down. I think that's going to probably cost more than the cost of this car. But yeah, I'm going to go. What was your number? I'm sorry, one more time.
80 grand and it sells.
God damn it. That's what I was going to say. 80 grand. Okay. I'll go 79,000, just straight up 79,000. What do you think, Wade?
I'm going to go under both of you. I don't think all the money is there anymore on these cars. $74,444, and that's too much money for a car like this.
Mental?
Yeah. I'm with Wade on all parts, and I'm actually going to go even lower, and I'm going to say 71,420 to go with some of the bids that are on it right now.
And that's a wrap.
And that is it. All right. What are the nerd herd saying?
The nerds are. We've got Jerry saying it's going to go for, or I'm sorry, Jed and Jerry going 82.5. No
That's Gerd,
sell.
man. That's your buddy. That's Gerd. He's a local boy, Gerd.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's Gerd. So, and then Randy B. He's given us 79,666. Apparently, doesn't think it's evil. Kevin 71930, Hans 78250, and Buddha says 70K fails to sell. That's where the herd is coming in on this one.
All right. Well, so Rochelle is saying a bunch of orders have come in. I don't know if she's reached 10, but she is saying she's going to do hats. So good job, guys. Great job out there in the nerd herd.
Thank you, nerd herd. Rochelle, would you make
those.
sure that JP's just says mental on the side? I'd appreciate
that. Look, she's saying that if you order by Tuesday, let me get this right. Actually, she's saying, really? Is that possible? She says by Wednesday morning, she can still get Christmas delivery in country. So. Excuse me, not New Zealand there, but Ross. But yeah, so if you guys order anything that's in inventory, call it by Tuesday night. She's still going to be able to get that to you. There might be an additional, shipping costs or something like that to rush it, but it is possible to still get these things as late as Wednesday, I guess, Wednesday morning. So not too late if you want to take some time and peruse the Guys Customs Etsy page and see if there's something in there that you would like or you think someone on your gift list would like. Check them out, and she's still going to be offering that discount until Tuesday. So there it is. We also want to reach out and say hello again to our friends at Our Smiths. He has some watches on there on his inventory that I don't know if he can get them to you by Christmas, but if someone wanted to buy me that Sea Dweller, I'll pay for the shipping. I'll just say it. I'll pay for the overnight. I'm that kind of guy. Right? Unless I buy that America Roadster, then I'm going to have to pay Kevin to put
it's a Canadian Roadster.
It's a Canadian Roadster. And then I won't be able to pay for shipping because I'll have to pay for a 5-speed transmission. Wade?
Yes.
Where can we find out more about Tech Daily and all that kind of fun stuff?
Over on the YouTubes at Tech Daily, if you're interested in anything techie. I got to say, we're 2 in a row on electric cars, which is right up my alley. I hope we don't have to call ourselves, the EV
show,
nerds or anything like that. But if you are interested in more tech things, or if you wind up getting something tech related for Christmas and you have any questions or want some information on a new phone or a new pair of earbuds, I've probably reviewed it this year. So head on over to the channel, say hi, ask me a question, check out an unboxing video. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you tuning in to watch car stuff here too.
I get a lot of offline bitching about having too many Porsches. So I thought, hey, let's shake it up a little.
Yeah, you'll show them. Give them an EV.
Give them a crappy EV. They'll be begging for Porsches. Mental, what's going on for you for Christmas?
I'm going to be local. I imagine some of our local portioners will put together we're going driving Christmas Day because I need to be away from my family. So we'll do something like that. That'll be a great time.
Do we have another show before Christmas? It looks like
yes.
We've got Wednesday's show, and then Christmas Eve is Sunday, the 24th. Are we going to do? I'm guessing we're probably not going to do it'll just be me and my dogs for Bid Nerds.
Actually, that'd be a great one, and just you and your dogs.
And a Yule log.
And you're in like a wife beater, and it's kind of dark, and you're just drinking whiskey out of a plastic jug, and it's cars. I just need cars. Yeah,
I'd be drinking Bud Light. It's back, right? Yeah, we'll be here Wednesday night. That'll probably be the last show before Christmas. So definitely join us for that one. And you guys, we will see you Wednesday. That's it. That's the end of the show. Buy a bracelet. Buy a bracelet from Guys
nerds.
Custom Bracelets. Thanks, God and Porsche. See ya. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
See you, Nerd Herd.
Get those words!